Thanks to the support as a channel member, Ant Hall. I don't even know anymore, Mrs Wearmouth. Yeah, it was a bad season. I mean, I don't. My worry is, and you're probably the last person I should be saying this to. It was a bad season, and I'm not really sure what to do to turn it around. Yeah, please don't sack me. Hello, and welcome to part 134 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special at the end of a season that promised so much and started so well, and then ultimately ended in crushing disappointment after crushing disappointment. In any other save, a rebuild would be needed here. But of course, in this save, we can't really do rebuilds because we can only sign players aged 18 or under, or players who are homegrown at club, which is basically Enoch Abagai is the one who's off doing his thing somewhere else who we could potentially look to bring back. Gregoire, who left last summer, not homegrown, so there's no option to bring him back. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't even know how much money she's going to give me. We're not in Europe next year. Sometimes the things are darkest before the dawn. Maybe this is our final low point before it all clicks and comes together next year with these young players, all a year older. Maybe we qualified for the Champions League next year because we don't have the European football in the way. Maybe we'd just run out of steam at the end of that season. This is certainly what I'm telling Mrs Wearmouth in my performance review. Let's look at the season review, starting things off with the new signings we brought in last year. Marcos Fernandez? What is there a person called that? Marcos Perez got signing of the season. 19-year-old wonder kid goalkeeper. Became our first choice keeper a little earlier than I anticipated he would. Played 34 games in the end. But there he is, our new wonder kid goalkeeper. I mean, anyone who wants to criticise our signings from last summer, can I just point out 6 signings, all 6 of them wonder kids. That, to me, is an incredible summer of transfer business. Yeah, some of them were quite expensive, but some of them less so. So we spent, 150 million there for 6 wonder kids. If they all come good, that's 400, 500 million pounds worth of player there. We just need them all to come good. I mean, Elias was great. Perez was great. Cam and Alan will probably be in and around the first team squad this year. Jose and Jordi, jury's probably still out on both of them. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more, I think. Mrs Wearmouth this season was expecting mid-table. 11th is mid-table, I think. So we've achieved what she wanted to achieve. We've called it a bad season because we finished 7th last year. We got into Europe. We did quite well in Europe until we didn't. But in the end, it was the first time we've ever been asked to not just avoid relegation. She asked for mid-table. We've delivered. In reality, Home Football Club being 11th in the Premier League for the next 20 years would be amazing. In reality, in the save, we've got to push on. And we will try to. We're close to maxing out our attendances again. Another bright spot. We've got a 20-goal striker now, which we haven't had ever in the Premier League. So, and we've probably got a couple of them. We've got Francisco, we've got Veloso. Villalobos hasn't been out on the town for a year. He might become one too. There's a lot of positives around. It just all kind of fell apart at the end, and I don't want to talk about it. I know this video is me having to talk about it. Financially, we're doing fine. Money is coming in as you would expect it to. All is good on the financial front. We got a little bit less prize money this year because we finished lower in the Premier League. Likewise, a little bit less broadcast money. I would have expected to get more money. Where does the Europa League or the Conference League money come into this? I guess it just shows there really isn't very much of it. I guess that's in there. So being in the Conference League and finishing 11th. So a run to the quarterfinal of the Conference League and an 11th place finish pays £4 million less than just a 7th place finish. I'm starting to feel like the Conference League is not worth the hassle. And if we've got the chance to qualify for it again, we might want to just drop down to 8th place just to avoid the thing. Reputation is still 4 stars. We know 4-star reputation is probably okay to bring in the kind of players we're looking to bring in. The one thing 4 stars probably won't let us do is bring Abagai back because he's an established England international now. So he's probably going to want a 4.5-star club to prize him away from Inter. So it probably takes him off the table that we've not pushed on this year. But you saw from the players we brought in last year, Jordi came in from Barcelona for big money. We can bring in pretty much any wonder kid we want if we can afford them now, which is a nice situation to be in. 33,000 shirts sold, again, tells me our ground's not big enough. If you're selling 33,000 shirts and your ground capacity is only 19,000, you probably need a bigger ground. Although I guess a lot of these are being sold in Korea because Park sold more shirts than anybody. Then Francisco Williams. Interesting to have 2 keepers in the top 5. Oh, no, that's the other Perez. That's midfielder Perez, isn't it? Williams, Perez, and then Villa-Lobos. People buying Villa-Lobos shirts to wear down the pub, probably. Booze like Villa-Lobos. That's his tagline that he uses. Our team of the year then does have Perez in goal. A back four of Kavalik, Anderson, Elias, Peresato. Interesting that Fazekas doesn't make it in. He probably did play enough games in the end, and Anderson had fallen well down the pecking order in my mind come the end of the season, to the point where we were playing Rodgers ahead of Anderson. Maybe I shouldn't have gone so cold on Anderson. Maybe he's due another chance, although with Cam and Allen, was that the other defender's name? The Wonder Kid defender? I think Anderson probably does fall well down the pecking order now, unless I'm wrong. Perez and Oliveira in midfield, then Jordi and Park out wide, Francisco and Veloso up front. It all looks about right, apart from Anderson, which confuses me a little bit, and Peresato in ahead of Todd Thomas, who doesn't make it into the team of the year either. Maybe I'm wrong about him too. Accolades, I can't imagine there's much here competition-wise. Francisco won Fans Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. Still only 20 years old, Francisco. Signing of the season was Perez. Goal of the season to Peresato. I think that's one we saw in a video. I remember it being beautiful. Top scorers, Francisco with 27 goals. Most assists is Perez with 12. Francisco also getting most man of the match and the highest average rating. Bottom line, it was a good season for Francisco at 20 years old. We've extended some of our club records as well. Kieran Hodgkinson, most league appearances now up to 437. Harrison Davies, Sir Harrison Davies, now the oldest player in the club's history. Does he also hold the youngest player? I know somebody said he's our youngest ever goal scorer. Is he also our youngest ever player? Because if he can hold the records for youngest and oldest player and goal scorer, that would be fantastic. And then we also broke our own record for highest transfer fee paid. And competition awards. So Park won Asian Footballer of the Year and Francisco won English Players Young Player of the Year. So a couple of accolades for some of our players from outside of the club as well. Let's have, that was the same team that we looked at last year, which is why I'm not going back and looking at them. We don't want to look at the team of 2021 every summer. Mrs Wearmouth this time round looking for another mid-table finish. She knows the score. She wants mid-table finishes pretty much forever. We graduate to top half finishes in a few years, but she knows if we finish in the top 12 or so of the Premier League forevermore, she's doing all right financially. We talked about how this might be a problem in the last episode. The 3 team leaders don't play. Davies, Hodgkinson, Williams. Yes, they're our academy boys, but it might be time for at least 2 of them to move on. The only problem is who steps up and becomes the new team leaders, because Ali Basic, Anderson, Richardson kind of don't play very much anymore either. So we're looking for someone from this next rung to step up. Fazekas, we really don't want Villa-Lobos to be a team leader unless Kieran Hodgkinson has really sorted his head out. But you're looking at the likes of Fazekas, Oliveira, Diego Perez to step up and be the new generation of team leaders. And are they inspirational enough, bearing in mind they're all still very early 20s? We really need the likes of Ali Basic, Anderson and Richardson, who are the ones who are mid-20s or approaching mid-20s now. They're the generation after this lot. This is another generation back. We need those guys back in the team. And I think we're not likely to have that unless we do it just purely for leadership reasons. Just letting the team know that we're happy with mid-table again. There we go. We'd be happy with mid-table again. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Hopefully that doesn't upset Park because he knows he is much better than that. I'm kind of expecting a transfer request in for him anytime. We're going to go off to Singapore for our... We don't want to see that. I mean, look at the XG on that game. We actually beat them for XG and they scored 7 goals. Who on earth do we blame for... I don't want to talk about it. Oh, my word. And there's your confirmation. Francisco winning. Young Player of the Year. Have we got our budgets through? We need budgets. Oh, good. Facilities. Oh, okay. There's like good news, bad news, good news in there. So, well, we don't know if this is good or bad. Let's start with the stadium expansion. We are adding another 6,500 seats. Mrs Wearmouth, that is just what the doctor ordered. They're going to be done by Christmas as well, or by New Year's. We're going to have another 6,500 seats. It's costing us £10 million to do, but we've got money. Money's not an issue for us anymore. Only going to take 7 months. Brings the capacity up to 26,500. That is more like it. But in the meantime, what facilities? The training facilities have been downgraded. Can we just request to improve them, please, Mrs Wearmouth? Let's bump them back up. And then budgets, give us 100 million. Let's just go for it this summer, Mrs Wearmouth. Give me 100 million and sort the training facilities out along with the stadium expansion. That's not disastrous because I've already spent some of it. 1.9 million of wages. That's more than we've got now. Another 43 million to spend on top of what I've already spent on a couple of players that were already coming in. So we've got a young attacker called Ian, who I'll admit part of the reason I wanted to bring him in is because he's just called Ian, and I really like that. But he's another Brazilian striker. He can play on either wing. I know we've got loads of these. I wouldn't have brought in another one if he wasn't called Ian. I promise I am taking the save seriously. And we've also got Björn Hoffmann, who is a 17-year-old German striker. I know we don't need more strikers, but past me won't accept it. We need a tough tackling midfielder. We did have one identified who we were going to be bringing in, and then it fell through because we didn't have the money. This guy, I think it was, Ismail Diaz. That torn calf muscle might be a problem, so we're not going to be able to bring him in now. And he turns 19 in July, so that might be the end. We actually had the deal agreed for this guy for like 20 million, but we didn't have the money, so we were waiting for budgets to come through. But I think that torn calf muscle might be the end of that deal. We will try. We'll activate his clause again. But I think that deal's probably dead. And that's pretty upsetting because he was great. Other than that, we just need to wait and see what comes up. You're looking now at what I'm looking at. We've got no restriction on for whether or not they're interested. These are the best young players we've been able to find. We sort them by current ability. We're already bringing in the best ones. Ian, I'm going to laugh every time. Bringing in Ian, hopefully bringing in Diaz. The rest of these, they're no better. Certainly no better than what we've got. We sort them by scout recommendation. We've already got Ian. We've already got Hoffman. Did we have Hoffman? No. Who the hell's Hoffman? We had another guy. Maybe we'll get... Who's this Hoffman? Talk to me about Hoffman. Dominic Hoffman. Central midfielder. He's got 11 for tackling. I mean, he's not a central midfielder, but can he become one? He's got 11 for tackling. Can we turn him into the new Gregoire? His positioning's not great, but at 18 years old, you can work on that. How much might he cost us? Dortmund don't really want to sell him. Does he have a clause? Let's see what my director of football can do. See if he can arrange a fee for him, maybe. He might be the guy. Maybe he's the guy. We just search for central midfielders. So Diaz, let's look at him as a deep lying playmaker as well. I mean, they both look like they could potentially do it. Let's compare them. Well, I think Diaz, like I say, might well be off the table, but Hoffman has got better mentals, better defending. They're the same for physical speed and vision. Diaz is a better attacker, which is interesting because Hoffman's the one who's the natural attacker. They've got the same technicals, same aerial. I mean, either of these could potentially come in and do the job. It's got to be one of those two, isn't it? I don't think we need more defenders this summer. We don't need a goalkeeper. We certainly don't need any more attackers. You need both of them, maybe? if we can afford both of them. Good old Mrs Wearmouth has agreed to sort the training facilities out as well. Another £2.5 million out of pocket to get the facilities back up to scratch again. She's good, isn't she? She's very good. Things are looking very good off the pitch. And you know what? The squad's looking great as well. You can see Paskev's decided to go back to the 4-2-3-1. Not sure what his thinking there is, but I guess we go with it. Ian might... Oh, look how good Ian is. Tell you what, Ian! My word! Ian's the surprise package. He's better than Yordi. Interesting. Might get the best out of Juan Jose as well. I'm starting to see why this appealed to Pastkev. This might not be the worst idea if we can get someone to play in midfield alongside Perez. Because I don't think any of those guys are the Gregoire that we need. Well, we actually agreed to sign both of them. Hoffman and Diaz, both confirmed. Both of them not able to come in because of the 6 under 21 rule. When does the season tick over? Is it when the window opens? I should know this by now. Guarantee I don't manage to get them both to agree next time around. But we could be living in a world where we sign them both. All these years later, presumably after all of our former players have already left now, we finally formalised the arrangement with Blackpool. We were offered other clubs. We could have had Kettering, Cambridge. There were, in fact, tell me there, Kettering, Cambridge, Hull, or Blackpool. We had to go Blackpool because so many of our former players have ended up there. I don't know if there's any of them still there. There's probably not at this point, but still, the historical link is there. We have Blackpool as a domestic affiliate club to send some of our youngsters out to, which I've never really done before. Might help. Well, I was so convinced these days were behind him. I mean, in his defence, pre-season training hasn't even started yet, so I'm not sure what training he's missing. It doesn't start for 3 more days, but I think he goes on the transfer list. I don't know what to do. I thought Kieran Hodgkinson had fixed him. Obviously, he didn't. If we get an offer, we'll definitely let him go. Should I transfer list him? So our first couple of players are in. Björn Hoffman, who we'd already talked about before, just turned 18. 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. Not ready for the first team yet, but hopefully will be awesome. That's what we're looking for. There were lots. Inter Milan, there was a few other big clubs who were in for him, which is why we pounced when we did. And then Ian, who, just because he's got a fantastic name, might end up being one of the greatest signings ever because he's good enough to start on either wing. He's a half-decent striker as well. I don't know if he's the next anybody. He's not, but he is a Brazilian wonder kid on arrival. He's the new best left winger at the club. He's not a million miles behind Park on the right. He's as good as Juan Jose or Yordi to play up front. Got a bit of a star there in the shape of Ian. We are trying to have a little bit of a clear out of fringe players again. You can see we haven't got very far so far, but there are lots of players potentially on their way out of the club because what we're trying to bring in, we want this guy, Scott Harris, who's a 16-year-old English defender who is wanted by everybody. If we just have a look at all the different clubs who are in for this guy, if I can actually click on the... I hate this game. Try one more time. There you go. These are all the clubs who are in for him. So as well as us, you've got Arsenal in there, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City. Yeah, there's some big clubs who are interested in Scott Harris. So he's actually scouted now. 5-star potential is as much as we know so far, but he's 16 years old at Leeds. Why they've not offered him a proper contract, I don't know. But fingers crossed we can pick him up. And then we've got 3 midfielders. The 2 you already know about, Ismail Diaz, who, despite being injured, looks like we should be able to confirm the deal. So we've got him. There's also Dominic Hoffman, who's a little bit more expensive. He's going to cost us £40 million, 20 up front, 20 on the never never. But he's another midfield player, and it's an area we definitely need to strengthen. And then we found this guy, Marcelo Antonio, who's a natural defensive midfielder. We've only really got Passotti at the club at the moment who can do that role. And then he can play more defensive roles in central midfield as well. So he might, I mean, he's probably not ready now. That's the thing with him. He's only 2-star current ability, but 5-star potential and a 94 on his scouting rating means he's going to be pretty useful. We can get him for a £10 million release clause, but we've only got 40 million to spend. So we need to generate some money. So Rodgers is hopefully on his way out. We've accepted 2 offers for Sir Harrison Davies. They're not for a lot of money, but he wants to go. So we're finally going to let him go, mainly to free up the club captaincy. We have turned down £18 million for Anderson, which might have been a bad idea, but we turned it down all the same. Loy, there's an £8 million offer in for Loy. In fact, there's 2 now, so he should be on his way out of the club. You forgot Emmanuel Loy was still here, didn't you? Ali Basic, we've got offers in the £15 million range. So Ali Basic's probably on his way. If we're bringing in potentially 3 new midfielders, he ain't ever playing for us again. Keanu Wand, hopefully on his way out for 5 or 6 million as well. So if we can bring in the 45 million that it says we should bring in from selling all of them, we've only got 25% retained transfer revenue. That ruins everything. The maths worked until I checked that. Come on, Mrs Wearmouth. You need to do one more heroic thing this summer. We need 56 million up front to confirm all these deals. We've got 43. Now, what we do need is Gregoire to play an international, because we're due, I think, £17 million the next time he plays an international game. It won't show his clauses on there, will it? Are Belgium playing this summer, and is he in the squad? No. They've played, but he didn't for some reason. Unless he did and we already had our 17 million and I didn't notice. Why is Gregoire not playing? Next international appearance, we get 17 million. He's not in the squad. He was always in the squad when he was with us. Frustrating. Well, we've missed out on Harris. He's gone to Arsenal. Just to give you an idea of how our pool for players still isn't competing with the likes of Arsenal. They're paying him just under £10,000 a week. We offered him £30,000 a week to come and play for us. And he's still gone to 4.5-star reputation Arsenal. Very sad. Right, Marcelo Antonio is in. 2.5-star current ability. 5-star potential defensive midfielder who needs to learn to play central midfield to be a real key member of our squad, but could end up being the defence-minded central midfielder that we needed. Ali Basic is off to Lyon as well, £15 million. And also Sir Harrison Davies has agreed to leave the club. He's going off to play for Sivasspor in Turkey, where hopefully he'll just have a nice couple of years living in Turkey, soaking up the sun. And the moment we notice staff attributes appear for him, we're in. We're bringing him back. We're bringing him home. But he wants to go and finish his career in Turkey. It's been, 17 years? Thank you, Sir Harrison Davies. We've said goodbye before. This isn't a permanent goodbye. He'll be back. Tell me he'll be back. The midfielder I wanted at the start of the summer, Ismail Diaz, is in. 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He's a natural central midfielder or attacking midfielder. We're almost certainly going to use him in central midfield. He's not quite a Gregoire replacement. I don't think he's a million miles away from what we had with Gregoire. Shall we do a comparison between the two of them? So Roland Gregoire, compare him with the guy we've just had on the screen. Why is he not on there? What the hell was his name? Ismail something. There you go. Ismail Diaz. He was there. So Gregoire, Gregoire's obviously better. But then Gregoire's 21 now. It'd be interesting to be able to compare Gregoire at 18. Holy hell, Gregoire was good, wasn't he? Or he's good. How is he not playing an international this summer? Well, I don't want to see any more of that. That's just upsetting. Oh, that's very upsetting. Oh, my word. There's your confirmation then, folks, that Sir Harrison Davies, for the first time in 17 seasons, is no longer a home player. For the first time in 14 seasons, he's no longer home captain. I hope you'll share the sentiment of the in-game fans. Understand he was sold as he wasn't good enough. Feel it was time for him to move on. Club legend or not. Thank you, Sir Harrison. Go and have fun in Turkey for a few years. You're coming back whether you like it or not. Goodness me. Couple of other departures being confirmed there for some of our fringe players. Ali Basic on his way out of the club as well. Williams was a little bit grumpy that we let him leave, that we let Davies leave. Interesting to see who's stepped up. Nobody yet. The game is suggesting to me that I up Alex Williams to club captain. Seems pointless when he's not our starting keeper anymore. So I still don't know who's going to be my captain and vice captain going into next season. Talking about Kieran Hodgkinson approaching the end of his career. If he retires, we'll miss his leadership. Absolutely, we will. But again, he's not somebody that we can put onto a coaching role just yet, even though I would very much like to. We've got our loan players back as well. The most notable one, I guess, is Erkan Cam, who went on loan to Real Madrid for the second half of last season and played a couple of games, even scored a goal in La Liga for Real Madrid. So Cam probably needs to be in the mix in our back four next season with Fazekas, Anderson, Kavalik, Elias, Cam. We've got some good defenders. We've not managed to sign the other central midfielder because we don't have enough money for him. So at the moment, it's still just, for this summer, Hoffman, Ian, Antonio and Diaz. Antonio's already gone out on loan for the season. He's gone to Hearts because he wasn't ready to play straight away. So he's out on loan. The other three, in fact, Ian and Diaz are going to be in the first team mix. Hoffman probably will also go out on loan, or I've got him in the first team squad at the moment. And money-wise, we've got about 15 million and we're maxed out on wage budget. So I don't know that we're necessarily going to do much more in the way of transfers. It's only the 1st of July, but the squad's looking good. Whatever combination of system we play, I've seen a couple of people suggesting we should try a diamond. For as long as Park is at the club, we're playing with wingers. It's the only option we've got. So 4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-4, 4-3-3, they're all options. We've got plenty of players who are very flexible, the likes of Perez, Oliveira, Jose, Jordi, who can play in all sorts of positions in these attacking lineups, and the defence is slowly but surely taking shape as well. Unless we spot spectacular wonder kids on scout reports, don't expect any more money to be spent, or if we find a way to afford this guy. That would be handy too. If in doubt, bring in another Brazilian who can play up front or on the wing. Sydney's in, 18-year-old wonder kid, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He can also play attacking midfield or up front. Arsenal were in for him, so we had to move, and we did. And we beat Arsenal to a player. So I think I'd still rather have had the English centre-back than yet another Brazilian fast winger striker. But at least we beat Arsenal to a player after they beat us to a player. So I can sleep easy tonight now. I think that's number 5 when it comes to the foreign under 21s. Let's just double check. So Hoffman, Ian, Antonio, Diaz, Sydney. So we can get one more foreign one, and then it's UK based only. To be honest, the money's pretty much gone anyway. So unless we sell somebody, I think that's transfer business complete. I genuinely don't know at this point how Villalobos is affording to go clubbing, because this is the 4th time this summer he's been not turned up for training or now a match, and he gets fined 2 weeks' wages every time. £800,000 in fines he's had to pay this summer just to go out boozing. He clearly only likes to drink in warm weather. He's a problem. I keep offering him. I don't want to put him on the transfer list. So I don't want to wreck his value. He's still only 21 years old. He's still, he's very good. But I keep every time he does it, I offer him out just to see if anyone might show any kind of interest for him. No takers so far. There hasn't been anyone else coming into the club, but we have been having something of a clear out. I'll just figure out where we got to and recap from there. Christian's left the club. Remember Christian? He's left, £6 million, sold him on for a massive profit. Transfer genius over here. So Christian's gone. Who else has gone? Lots and lots of players going out on loan. Carlos Caetano has left the club for £4 million. Who else? A couple of youngsters who I don't remember really. Björn Hoffman, who came in the summer, has gone to Motherwell on loan. Joyce Kirkland's at Partick Thistle on loan. Djukatic has gone to Fiorentina on loan. Marquinhos is at Hibs. There's a few of the fringe players who've gone out on loans as well. But this is the team, I think. This is what we're going with. And this is the side that's likely to start in tomorrow's episode against Aston Villa. I think we are going to go for the 4-2-3-1 initially, mainly because, if I'd like to just remind you all of the run of form we had at the end of last season, we did finish the season with the Chapman unwilling to experiment message about the 4-2-4. So I think we probably have to switch to the 4-2-3-1. We've been using it all summer. It had been going well until the Wearmouth Cup. But dynamics-wise, we're doing all right. Club atmosphere is good. Team cohesion is good. Kenlyn Richardson has stepped up into Harrison Davies' void and become the new team leader. Alex Williams is now club captain. Oliveira as vice captain. I didn't want to go straight to Oliveira as captain because I'm not sure Oliveira is going to be my captain long term. His tackling's now up to 12. He's turning into that defensive midfielder we wanted all along. He's definitely working on kicking people. Fazekas has signed a new long-term contract as well and taken English nationality. So he now doesn't count towards our foreign player limit, which is very handy. And a new 5-year deal, definitely double handy with bells on. And I think we've done all right. Let's just see how we get on against Norwich tomorrow, I guess. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.